This will be about volume in different systems. So in the chart here, we're being asked to complete the pattern, and we've got numbers on the top in cubic meters and numbers on the bottom in cubic yards, and we have at least a full set given. We've got 1 cubic meter is 1.31 cubic yards. So let's make use of that. We can see that converters right here as well. 1 cubic meter is 1.31 cubic yards. So we're going to go and say, okay, well, if we had 2, we're just going to double that. So we're going to multiply. So we're going to multiply 2 times 1.31, and we get 2.62. So that'll be right here. And we'll do the same thing for 3. We're multiplying 3 times 1.31. We'll continue the pattern for 4 and 5 and do the same thing. So in our chart, we should see these numbers, and we do. Moving to number 2. We are asked for volume to the nearest tenth of a unit. So we're going to do 1 decimal place for our answers for rounding. And we're looking for the first one from cubic yards to cubic meters. So we go and we find our converter for that. So we've got cubic yards here into cubic meters. Okay, so we're going to keep that in mind when we write out our work for this. So one way to do that is to show the converter. First thing, we have 1 cubic yard is 0.76 cubic meters. So 1 cubic yard is to 0.76 cubic meters as 2 cubic yards is to what we're looking for, our unknown. Okay, so in this case, we're going to use cross multiplication and division. You can solve using algebra as well if you'd like, but the shortcut is a little quicker. So what we're really doing is we're going 2 times 0.76 divided by 1. We have to include the division of 1 because this might not always be 1. So we're going to see 2 times 0.76. Oops, I'll just put this in there. So, okay, and then whatever that is, divided by 1. Same number. And then rounded to the nearest tenth. So 1.5. Okay, moving on. Cubic meters to cubic yards. So again, go through and find your converter. So cubic meters is here. And we want cubic yards, which happens to be right next to it. So we don't have to do any extra steps. So that's kind of nice. So in this case, we'll just go through and show this as more of a linear setup. So either way you do it, it'll be up to you, but we're going to go 58 cubic meters equals something in cubic yards. Okay, when we move from cubic meters to cubic yards, we are multiplying by 1.31. So we'll just show that here. So we've got a multiplication of 1.31 to make this happen. So we'll go back to our calculator and work that out. So we've got 58 times 1.31. And rounded to the nearest tenth, because that's our rounding for this one. You see that the 8 will round the 9 up. Which will round the 5 up. So we have 76.0. We include the 0 because we're asked the nearest tenth. So we keep that place value. Moving to the next one. Cubic miles to cubic kilometers. So for this one, we can see the converters on the bottom. So we're going to multiply 0.8 times 4.17. So we go 0.8 times 4.17. And again, round to the nearest tenth. So 3.3. And down here, 110 kilometers cubed converted to cubic miles. Okay, so in this case, let's go find our kilometers. We're up here. So kilometers cubed, whatever you're going to have, in this case 110, multiplied by 0.24 to get your cubic miles. So we've got your 110 cubic kilometers multiplied by the converter of 0.24 to get the cubic miles. Round it to the nearest tenth, and we get to 26.4. Moving on. Okay, so we'll just take a quick look at this scenario here. We've got Abdul working in construction. He's shopping for a toolbox, and we're looking for the volume to the nearest cubic centimeter for each. So in this case, we have a volume of 1,120 cubic inches, and we're going to convert that to centimeters cubed. So let's go and find cubic inches. Cubic inches is here, and cubic centimeters is there. So we're going to be taking each of these numbers on the left and multiply them by the converter of 16.39. Okay, so again, take your pick of how you'd like to set it up. Whether you want to use a proportion or something a little more linear. I'll show a proportion again, so we'll take the converter for cubic inches to cubic centimeters. So that's this one here. 1 cubic inch is 16.39 cubic centimeters. So 1 cubic inch is 16.39 centimeters cubed. Set that equal to what we're solving for. We're trying to convert 1,120 cubic inches. So put that on the top and divide by our unknown. In this case, the answer will be in cubic centimeters when we're finished. So again, we're going to use cross multiplication division for this to speed it up a little bit. So when we do that, it is 16.39 times 1,120 divided by 1. Okay, so we get the same answer. Again, I'm showing the 1 just in case it's not always a 1. And we want those to the nearest cubic centimeter. So we're going to round those. So in this case, 18,357. Moving to the next one. 195 cubic inches to cubic centimeters. So similar steps. Again, it's up to you how you like to set this up. But if we do this similar to the other way, and we're looking at 195 cubic inches, and our goal is to convert that to something in centimeters cubed. We look for cubic inches to cubic centimeters. And we've got that one again right there. Okay, so cubic inches, whatever it is, times 16.39 to get to the cubic centimeters. So this is going to be multiplying by 16.39 to get that number back into cubic centimeters. Okay, so we'll take 195 cubic inches times 16.39 cubic centimeters per cubic inch, which gives us, rounded to the nearest whole number, 3,196 cubic centimeters. Do the same work for C. So I'm just going to show that up here as 1565 times our converter of 1639. And again, rounded to the nearest whole number. Okay, so 25,650 cubic centimeters. Moving to the next one. In this scenario, it's saying a cabinet for wood carving tools has a volume of 0.38 meters cubed, and we're supposed to compare this to the volume of the toolboxes in the previous question. Okay, so we'll just get a quick refresher. Those volumes are here. Okay, so the biggest one is about 25,650, nothing over that. So we'll just keep that in mind for this question. So when we're looking at this, our goal will be to compare this to the volume of the two boxes in question 3. Okay, so we've got 0.38 meters cubed. Keeping in mind, the toolbox is here, finished off in centimeters cubed. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this 0.38 meters cubed into centimeters cubed. And to do that, we're going to use this converter. Okay, so to Set that one up again. We have 1 meter cubed is to 1,000,000 centimeters cubed as 0.38 meters cubed is to what we want to find out. In this case, how many centimeters cubed is this? It's going to be a fairly large number. So let's just go and figure that out. So again, we're going to take 1,000,000 times 0.38 divided by 1. Okay, so we get a fairly large number. And keeping in mind this is in centimeters cubed, so it's 380,000 centimeters cubed. I mean, thinking about the previous one, 25,000, and so, or so was the largest one. So this one is quite large compared to the previous question. Moving to 5. What can you multiply by to change one unit to the other? Okay, so this is just using our conversion factors again. So cubic miles to cubic kilometers. So we just want to think about miles to kilometers. So let's go find that one. So cubic miles to kilometers. So here it is, 4.17. So you're going to multiply that by whatever your number would have been. Meters to cubic feet. So for that one, cubic meters, we have that here, but I don't see it going to cubic feet. But I do see this other thing down here. Once this is converted to cubic yards, you can take those cubic yards and convert those to cubic feet. So what you'd have to actually do is multiply the two converters. So it's going to be 1.31 times 27. So you get 35.37. So that's what you're actually going to have to multiply your number by to go from cubic meters to cubic feet. And then the last one here, cubic feet to cubic meters. So that's here. Where did I go? Oh, no, look for cubic feet first. Okay, so we've got cubic feet here. And again, I don't see that in cubic meters. So we're going to have to go and do the same thing. Find something that's got decimeters converted to cubic meters. So that's this converter here. 1 cubic decimeter is 0.001 cubic meters. So we're going to multiply the both of them again. So multiply the converter for cubic feet to cubic decimeters, and then multiply that by the 0.001. So we take 28.32 multiplied by 0.001, and don't forget to keep in mind rounding. This one will show a little bit different, but we have it as 0.02832. If it asked for rounding, you could put it to the nearest hundredth, which is 0.03. Next question. Justin is estimating that he needs 100 cubic meters of space to store the equipment for a snow blowing business, and is asked how many cubic feet of storage space does he need. So we've got 100 cubic meters. We want to convert that to cubic feet. So here's cubic meters, excuse me. That will give us a converter into cubic yards, but again, that's not the question. The question wants cubic feet. So we'll have to go through and do that extra conversion of multiplying by 27. Okay, so we'll set this one up linearly so you can just see it written across. So we're going to go from 100 cubic meters. We're going to convert that into something that's in cubic yards. Then you're going to go and convert that into something that's in what we're looking for, cubic feet. Okay, so let's put our converters here as well. So what are we multiplying? To go from cubic meters to cubic yards, we're multiplying by 1.31, and then we're going to take that number and multiply it by 27. So we just keep those steps in mind as we're working through this. Okay, so we start at 100, and we're going to multiply that by 1.31. So we get 131. Let's just fill in that blank here. 131. Now we're going to take that 131 and we're going to multiply by 27. We got 3537. Keeping in mind now that is in cubic feet. Okay, so we've answered the question now. It's asking how many cubic feet of storage space does he need? He needs 3,537 cubic feet of storage space to store that equipment.